All right, Shalom. Call all Yabashim Abashah, Bashim Kakadash. The violence the apostles and elders, great millstone. Peace and salutations to you sincere Akim out there who are pushing the truth across the four corners of the earth, around the world. You confusion of faith brethren as well, who are Israelites. And any sisters out there learning in silence and subjection. Shalom. Just real quick, this is a common misconception of people when they read this particular scripture that I've heard people come up to the camp and say Genesis 25 and 25. Now we use the King James Version, and just to make it short on why the King James Version is the best, basically they went directly to the Hebrew in the Old Testament, and then they went directly to the Greek in the New Testament. Now, unfortunately, there were still a few mistakes, but through the Spirit, the elders and apostles were able to spot those, and you have videos out on those. But this is basically why this is the purest version, and it was never watered down. Just like you have, it talks about here. You have different Bibles as well. You got the Wycliffe's version, Tyndale. You got different versions, but this is this King James Version. It's the reason why it's the top version, because it excuse me, it's the best version. And then you have the 1611 James Version, which I have, which also includes the Apocrypha. So they also translated the Apocrypha as well. Yep, and then it goes on to talk about, you got many different versions, but to get straight to the point, the King James Version is the top one. Yep. Because, like it's going to say, some of the other versions you had deliberate alterations in the script. And then, you can YouTube it. You can YouTube it. And King James was an Israelite too, but that's a subject for another video. Here's Genesis 25:25, and the first came out red all over like a hairy garment, and they call his name Esau. Okay, and here's the this is what people go off on, because it says what first son of Jacob came out red all over. He was red all over like a hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. Esau meaning wasted away is he, because his blood was showing forth through his skin more than a normal child. Because children already have thin skin. Excuse me, and they're already born very light skin, and Esau, he was completely, his skin was completely, the blood showed forth completely. That's what I'm trying to say. So they called him Esau. And of course we have hairy, which hairy in the Hebrew is Shayar, which translates to Seir. That's where you get Mount Seir. And then later his name was changed to Edom, or Adawam, which means red. Yeah, I believe it's going to tell you in the next verse. And it's interesting when you look that up, just like brothers have brought out in many other videos, it tells you Esau means hairy. Well, Esau doesn't mean hairy. Matter of fact, let me show you. I can show you better than I can tell you. Okay, they say Esau means hairy, right? But then go up here to hairy, which is Shayar. Hairy. And that's Shayar in the Hebrew, or Seir. So Esau can't mean hairy if that's what, there could be two words that mean the same thing, but Esau doesn't mean hairy. Esau means wasted away is he. And you have Edom, or in the Hebrew, Adawam, which means red. Not to be confused with Adama, meaning ground, which is a reference to Adam. So In this case, blue letter goes off on that. Okay, then it says, so he's red all over like a hairy garment, which that word for garment, a cloak, splendid magnificence, a mantle or cloak made of fur or fine material. So prophet's garment. So whatever garment is red all over like that, that's how that child looked, which at that time was unusual for a child, which is why it's highlighted. And just to show you, of course the men had pants on, but Esau, they go off on that particular part, but you get the idea. So, and another interesting thing, when you look at the commentary for this to gain some more understanding, just goes to show you that you have to have teachers. It'll tell you what that is completely like a hairy, like a garment. Well, first, before I get to that, Salakia, now go to the New International Version, which a lot of Christians are using. After this, his brother came out with his hand grasping Esau's heel. No, that's not the one I want. Salakia. Okay, the first to come out was red, and his whole body was like a hairy garment, so they named him Esau. I mean, his whole body was red like a hairy garment, but you see, they go off. It's confusing. New Living Translation. The first one was very red at birth and covered with thick hair like a fur coat. So, the version, the story changes. Different parts change. English Standard Version. The first came out all red, all his body like a hairy cloak. So they called his name Esau. The first Berean Study Bible, the first one came out red, covered with hair like a fur coat. That's wrong. The child did not have hair. There's no child that comes out with hair all over. The point was he was red all over like a certain type of hairy garment, which I had to do a follow-up on that one, Salaki. But you get the point. Some of these different versions of the Bible, they get certain information misconstrued. That's why it's important to stay with the King James Version. Even when you go in the commentary, I'm not going to go into all of them, but it said, look at this, Benson with red hair all over his body as if he had been already a grown man, whence he had his name Esau made reared already. That's incorrect. That's incorrect. So in all these versions, they say the same thing. They say that he's hairy. He came out hairy with hair all over. Incorrect. Yeah, from him the Red Sea is supposed to receive his name. They go way off. So that's why it's a lot of bones in the commentary and the different scriptures, and when you try to look for a certain study material, you have to double check it and make sure that you're double checking your information, that you're not confusing the truth with something that you might have picked up in a commentary, or that's why it's important to double check and go over the scriptures with the brethren and the older brethren in the camp who know the scriptures better than you. So that's all I wanted to say on that. Common misconception, mistranslation that people get and people have from the scriptures, and that's just one small point. It can really happen with any scripture. But with that being said, call on Yabashim Al Shashalom.